Welcome back to the Nikki Clarke radio show. It is so great to be back. The show is about conversations that matter, and we have amazing people from all walks of life who have great stories to share with us. And we have just another amazing individual on the line. She is the founder of Becoming Canada, and it's an organization which focuses on personal and spiritual transformation. And she also established Becoming in response to a deep and spiritually driven desire to see every individual become true self. Dr. Joan Samuel-Dennis is a powerful speaker with an incredible message that inspires people to seek purpose and uncover what she calls the co-created master plan embedded in specific moments of their life. She's a professor of philosophy, a spiritual counselor, and life coach. And she's the editor of the Becoming Book Project, a compilation of short stories that demonstrate women's movement from places of suffering to full knowledge and connection to self, others, and God. She is a transformational visionary whose deepest desire is to bring world peace by the power of forgiveness. Welcome, Dr. Joan Samuel-Dennis. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you so much, Nikki, for having me on your radio show.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It is so great to speak to amazing women like yourself. You are an inspiration, and we are so looking forward to hearing more about your story. So someone like you with this incredible passion to work in the community, you are so accomplished. There's always a story behind the story. So what is your background leading up to the amazing accolades that you have now?
So, Nikki, I am a nurse and was for a very long time a public health nurse. I went on because of my own personal life story, although I discovered that much later. Because of my own personal journey, I was positioned in a place where I was working with women who were experiencing things like depression, anxiety, PTSD, and I worked with them as a public health nurse for a really long time. And then I wanted to know more, so I went on to do my master's in community health nursing and then really kind of focused my original research on understanding what are all of the factors that actually contribute to poor mental health at the time, and how is that connected to whether or not a person could engage completely and fully in employment or whether or not they stayed unemployed. And after I completed my master's, I went directly into a PhD, where I then began to look at what are all the factors that impact on people's ability to recover from, say, a trauma, and how does that impact their everyday experience of well-being.
Right.
Well, you know, we all go and study the thing that has been a part of our lives, but some of us can do it with blinders on. And I must say I was one of those folks who did it with blinders on, because you have a passion for this thing. You want to see things get better for people, but sometimes you don't even connect that with your own personal journey and experience. Right. So I've been on a journey over the past couple of years where I moved out of my position as a faculty member at a university and really began the journey of beginning a ministry. I felt very much called to do that, and that the call had been there for a really long time. So my call actually came when I was about 3 years old. I'm of Jamaican heritage, and
so am I. Awesome.
Yes, and so there's a lot of us who, you know, if we're born in the 70s, who experience our parents leaving and coming to, say, the British Empire and all of the different places, the Canadians, the people in the United States. So a lot of our parents migrated. And I have a moment where my mother is literally, and it's the only memory I have at age 3, but she's literally standing, you know, you go up the steps to the airplane, she's literally standing at the door waving and saying goodbye, and she disappears from my life for 7 years. I stay with my grandparents who loved me, and I felt so much love from them, but there was this sense of abandonment, a sense of just disconnectedness that began there. Everything now that I do is about connecting people. First connecting them truly with themselves, then connecting them with others, and then moving them to a place, connecting them with themselves, connecting them with God, and then moving them out to a place where they can connect with all others in a place of comfort and freedom. And so, at age 10, I get on a plane and I finally arrive, and the thing I've always wanted and been seeking and searching for, I'm now reunited with my mother. But the story it shifts. It's not like the happy ending. It's one of these things that happen. And again, if we are to think about the Jamaican experience and the diaspora and all of the ways in which we experience our households, I left a home that was filled with love, and I now entered a space with a mom who was working 3 jobs, who was extremely stressed out, who had her own experiences. And this home that was supposed to be loving and kind ended up not being so loving and kind. It ended up actually being quite violent. And so there's a moment in time where I experienced a particularly violent interaction with my mother. And that is also, again, where something is created within me. A call comes out. And this now is a call to move people from those experiences where they feel violated to now feeling inner peace. And to not only feel inner peace within themselves, but to offer peace within their families. And not only to experience peace within their families, but to go out beyond that to their communities. And not only to the community, but now to expand that into the territories in which they live. And then beyond that to the countries. And so I have a very large vision and a mission that has come out of my own personal journey. So I left my position as, let's say, a professor, a teacher of what might be more academic things, to now teach people how to actually become connected with themselves, how to become connected with God, and how to become connected with all others.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a riveting story, and I have to say that it's a shared experience with many Jamaicans.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving, having to be separated from their parents, for the purpose of having a better life for their children. And I don't know, there are many Jamaicans, and I am one of them, who spent time living with my grandmother as my parents moved to Montreal, Quebec to resettle. So I understand. Completely. I identify with what you're saying, and then the feelings of, that never leaves you. That moment of separation. There's always, I find, like a flashback, even in adulthood, like those feelings of that moment of separation, and like, where am I going to go, and
right.
Will I move on from this experience? So I find that a really a powerful sharing of what you just shared with us, and it's amazing how it led you into this purpose. So now you're here. You're Dr. Joan. You're doing very well for yourself, and then you get to this place where you need to put everything together. There's an intersection of all your experiences and what you've learned, and how you want to give back. So can you explain that place and what the next steps are for you?
Yeah. So I've been on a journey in the last, let's say, couple of years. One aspect of that journey was starting a book project called Becoming. And that book project really gathers together 12 women who are speaking about their journey of moving from those places of struggle, those moments in time where we feel afraid, unloved, where we feel like something has gone very wrong. And for some of the women, in fact, many of the stories within the book, which surprised me, but I think what has happened with the book is all of the folks that were to tell a story about the ways in which different types of violence have impacted their lives have come together. So we have stories within the book that are about bullying in early childhood, racism that was connected with bullying. We have stories in the book that are about intimate partner violence. We have stories in the book that are about childhood physical abuse, then emotional abuse, then sexual abuse. We have the wide range of all the ways violence shows up in our lives on an everyday. And then we are each of the women is telling their stories of how they've now come to a place of overcoming that and now began the journey to either tell the story and to make a difference in other people's lives. And some women are farther along on that journey than are others. Well, there was one particular young lady who is part of this book project, and she actually experienced sexual abuse from a family member. And we kind of went back and forth. You know, we did about 4 drafts together. We were going back and forth, and we were talking about how she was going to tell her story. And so she sent me her 4th draft, and immediately I opened the email, I read it, and she had done it. She had accomplished, telling the story in a way that I think will not scare people, will not get them all triggered. And so when I read that story, I immediately responded to her and I said, "You did it. Congratulations." And then I just kind of went on with my day. But the next morning, I woke up and there was something I knew wasn't quite right. You know, it's kind of like that stirring in the stomach, but you can't put your hands on it. And I thought, well, I'll go for my run. Maybe I'll sort it out by the time that I get back. But before my hand even touched the handle of the door, I thought to myself, no, I need to go and actually journal, which is one of the tools and the strategies that I teach people to actually sort out their emotions. So
yes.
I sat down that morning on my bed and I began to journal. And then I realized her story had stayed with me. It was such a violent story, and the crushing of her spirit, the feeling of just being hopeless and totally empty and feeling like I have no more wish to live. That was kind of where she was at as she was telling the story. Now the story progresses to the place where she talks about coming back to that place where she wants to live fully. But in that moment, I made the decision, you know what, I need to forgive her stepfather for the harm that he had done her, because I felt it in my own spirit that something very, very harmful had been done, and I saw it in her story. And so I went through the process of forgiving, and then I found myself having to expand that forgiveness to look at all men who had violated family members, brothers, sisters, all of those people. And I incorporated them all into a forgiveness. Well, with the forgiveness that I do, there's an immediate release, there's an immediate clarity, there's an immediate moving on from there. And I just kind of went on with my day. The next morning, I woke up, Nikki, with an idea. And the idea was, I must do something about this. I must get the message out that we need to heal so that the hurts and the harms that could transcend and go on to the next generation, that we stop it dead in its track. And so on July 7th, I hosted a candlelight vigil dedicated to women who had experienced violence. And we literally walked through a group forgiveness of first the men and then ourselves, because one of the things that we always have to recognize is that the thing that's done to us is the thing that we do to ourselves, and it's the thing that we do to all others. So that was a phenomenal part of the next step of my journey. And to just to expand the vigil, this will now become an annual event, and then to expand it so that eventually we get to all the cities in every country across the world. So I'm beginning a journey, and it's a very massive undertaking that I'm hoping to actually do, but it's the beginning of what's to come. And the desire truly through the vigils is about saying, okay, for those of you that are hurting, come and be healed. For those of you that are in a space and a place where you just have not been able to transcend the past, come and learn a particular technique that will transition everything, your understanding, your perception, your fears. It will help you to transcend all of that so you finally begin to see yourself for who you are, not cloaked in the garb of pain and hurt and resentment, but instead see yourself as that person who can love, who can be free, who can be accepting and allowing of all people that enter your space, that can be in a totally loving, accepting place for all individuals that you encounter.
That is so beautiful, and I just want to applaud you for all your efforts in
Thank you.
taking your experience and transforming it into this incredible project to help others heal. And we are living in a world that is broken, for lack of better words, and we really need healing partners like yourself. I consider myself to be one, but we really need to rally together to help put all the pieces back together, and it is so important for people who are harmed not to feel that they are the ones that caused it. So there's a lot of internal work that needs to be done, and I am one of those people who wants to protect youth with armor them with knowledge before they get into areas where they can be harmed. So a lot of preventative measures can be done if we reach them early. So that's part of my purpose. But I can identify with a lot of what you're saying, and there's so many intersections, and it is really, really important to keep doing the work that you do, Dr. Joan, to keep moving forward no matter what opposition comes your way, because there will be light, and the light needs to just burst everywhere in so many areas of darkness that we're experiencing in our world. And you see we're being bombarded with it every day in our media. So I just have to say thank God for people like you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dr. Joan, do you have any workshops coming up, any upcoming events that we need to know about?
Yes, on September 23rd, I'm hosting an event called Rising, where we are going to talk about our fears that develop in our most difficult moments. We're going to talk about rising above those fears, and then we're going to talk about the discovery of the purpose that's hidden in those moments. And then we're going to move on to talking about being courageous in actually fulfilling the destiny that we were born to fulfill. And all of us have a role and a part to play in bringing peace to reducing violence within our world. And it is those people who have encountered it that are most important to that journey and that agenda. So for those individuals, this particular conference, it's a one-day retreat, is for women. So women who are in a place where they're deciding what's their next step, women who are desiring to actually step into purpose, women who are just wanting to find meaning for everything that they do in their life. Those women who are experiencing good things, but also wanting to do so much more. Those who are wanting to become involved at a larger community level, to become a part of a movement. Those would be the people that would be invited to that event. All women are welcome.
Fantastic. And we look forward to having you on the Nikki Clarke Show very soon, and we'll be sharing the information on how to watch the show in the coming weeks. Also, can you please let us know how we can reach out to you? So I'm sure there are listeners right now who would love to have an opportunity to have one-on-one engagement with you, to follow your work on social media. So how can we do that?
Yes, on my website, drjoan.ca. You can find all my phone number is right there. You can also send me an email at jsdennis@drjoan.ca. On Instagram, I'm at Becoming with Dr. Joan. There's a period just right after doctor for that one. And then the same with Facebook. So any of those avenues, you can reach out to me.
Wonderful. Dr. Joan, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today.
So
I've learned a great deal, and it is very comforting to know that the work you do is reaching so many people in moving them towards healing. So thank you again for all you do, and hope we can connect again very soon. We will see each other very soon for the taping, but I want to be able to, know that you are someone that if you need my help, if you need my support, I'm there for you because I totally align with your vision.
Very good. I'm so excited, Nikki. Thank you so much, and I am looking forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely. All right, you were listening to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show, and we had a very special guest, Dr. Joan Samuels-Bennett. She is a formidable woman in the community, doing everything she can to support people in their emotional and spiritual movement towards healing. So please go and reach out to her on social media, buy her book, and move towards forgiveness. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you another time. You've been listening to the Nikki Clarke Radio Show. Bye-bye.